What's the creepiest thing you know about your neighbor? When I was in my early 20s, I rented the top floor of a small 2-story duplex on the edge of town. The rent was cheap, the neighborhood was quiet, and I didn't mind that the downstairs unit was occupied by an older man named Harold. He was in his late 60s, thin, always wearing these worn flannel shirts and faded jeans. He kept to himself mostly, though he'd nod if we passed each other on the stairs. At first, Harold just seemed like your standard quiet neighbor. He had no visitors, no loud music, no barking dog, but every so often, I'd see him late at night through my kitchen window, standing in his backyard, just staring. Sometimes it was at the fence, sometimes up at the sky, sometimes directly at my window until I switched off the light. The first thing that made me uneasy happened about a month after I moved in. I came home late from work and noticed his downstairs windows were covered. Not with blinds, but with layers of black trash bags taped over every pane. It wasn't a just moved in thing either. You could see dust and grime stuck to the tape. One evening, I was taking my trash out when I heard a faint humming from his side of the duplex. Not a song, more like a droning low note that didn't stop. It was so steady I thought it was coming from some machine, but when I leaned closer to his door, I realized it was his voice. He was standing right behind it, humming in a slow rhythm. The second I took a step back, the sound stopped completely. A couple months in, I started getting this strange smell wafting up through the vents, like a mix of rotting meat and something chemical. I mentioned it to the landlord, who brushed it off as probably a dead mouse in the walls, and promised to check it out. He never did. The smell would fade for a week or two, then come back even stronger. One night, around 2 in the morning, I woke up to a muffled banging sound from below. It wasn't like he was hammering. It was slower, heavier. I stood in my living room trying to pinpoint it when I heard him muttering. Not loud enough to make out the words, but urgent, like he was trying to convince someone of something. Then there was a dragging sound, long and deliberate, across his floor. After that, silence. The weirdest moment came when I bumped into him at the mailbox. He smiled, handed me some of my misdelivered mail and said, "Don't worry, they won't bother you anymore." I had no idea what he meant, and before I could ask, he just turned and went back inside. The turning point for me came in the middle of summer. I was sitting on my balcony when I noticed Harold in his yard, digging a hole. Not a small one, a deep, narrow trench in the far corner. He worked for hours, well past dark, with just a single dim lamp. The next morning, the hole was gone, the dirt smoothed over. About a week later, a police car showed up. I saw the officer knock, Harold answer, and the two of them talk for maybe 3 minutes before the cop left. No search, no questions to me or the other neighbors. I never found out what it was about. By the end of the year, I decided to move. Packing the last of my things, I saw Harold standing at the bottom of the stairs, watching quietly. He didn't say goodbye, just stood there until I shut the door. A few months after I left, I ran into a former neighbor at the grocery store. She told me Harold had been found dead in his unit. The official cause was heart failure, but when the landlord went in to clean the place, he found every room stacked with boxes, floor to ceiling, full of women's clothing, shoes, and purses. Some still had store tags. None of it, as far as anyone knew, belonged to Harold. No one ever figured out where it came from.